first of all, I want to say welcome to everybody. It's funny. I'm calling in from Salt Lake City, Utah, and I saw a report the other day. We've had over 800 inches of snow this year in Salt Lake City. So those of you that are calling in from California and San Diego and North Carolina, you don't know what that's like. 800 inches of snow is a lot. We haven't had this much snow probably since the early 80s, and it's pretty crazy. So last week we had 13 or 14 inches of snow in my driveway, and today it's beautiful, sunny in the mid 70s, and everything's melting. So you go from lots of snow to we're going over to like a neighboring church tonight as neighbors, and we're all filling sandbags for all the people that live along the rivers because the snow's going to melt so fast it's all going to flood. So it's funny, you pray for water because you're in a drought, you get it. Now you got to go like, holy crap, now we got to deal with all the flooding. So I'm excited that it's spring because the snow melting and the runoff coming down the rivers, it just reminds me that it's springtime. And springtime in real estate is selling season. It's when we get fired up to turn it on. How many of you are starting to feel some shifting in the marketplace in a positive way right now? Are you starting to see some things that are different? Like people are getting off the sidelines and realizing that they can still buy even though rates aren't where they were a year ago. They're re-engaging. We're having better dialogue. Well, you really have a choice point. And so as I was thinking about, who we wanted to have on today's webinar and what we want to talk about, I love the title of this, Out of Stock, Out of Production. That means if there's no inventory, you don't feel like there's any inventory, it's really easy to get out of production and sit on the sidelines and wonder where business is going to come from. And in every single market, there are agents that are having their best year ever in real estate, and there's others that are dying. And what I've learned is the difference between those who are succeeding and those who are getting out of production is not the quality of the agent, but it's the activities they focus on. And so we're going to share with you, we brought in a couple of rock stars today. They're going to share with you what they're doing with their businesses and their teams to be able to increase their market share when everybody else is standing on the sidelines. And so I don't want to take any more time because we have just phenomenal guests with us today. We have Mahala Landin. I'm going to give you a more formal introduction. We have Nick Painz. And so Nick is from Westminster, Colorado, and he's the managing broker of Remax Alliance. Nick has an interesting business, not just in real estate, but in real estate investing. And he came into this business as a real estate investor. It's been really fun to watch his growth. And he's going to talk to you a little bit about that as we kind of get into it. Nick, welcome to the call today. And I just first want to get into just tell us a little bit about your company and your team.
Yeah. So thanks for having me. Welcome, everybody. So I'm a managing broker of Remax Alliance. So there's about 50 agents in our office. But as a team lead, I am the team lead for the Meta Homes team, which is essentially the real estate company that I started 5 years ago in the beginning of 2018. We currently have 6 total agents, including myself, as well as an admin. So yeah, that's just kind of a quick overview. But I started investing in real estate back in 2010, just kind of house hacking, and started getting my license to do my own deals, to represent my own deals. And then I got the prior industry that I was in. I started seeing some writing on the wall and decided I needed to make a change. And it made a lot of sense to me because I already understood it, and thought that I could be successful in this business because I had a great understanding of it already. And I've been in sales my whole life. So anyway, that's a quick background on me.
Okay. So did that work? Did you know everything you needed to know?
Oh, not even close. Not even close. It's funny because you don't know what you don't know. And so my learning experience in the last 5 years has been tremendous. So it was fun to come into another career path where I wasn't at the top, and people didn't come to me for answers. It was like, okay, I had to go seek answers. So it's been a really great learning experience, and we're continuing to grow. So
I love that. We talk about there's some Workman tools and systems that our clients use. Some people do a good job with them. Other people kind of, they really don't get into it. One of the things that I've noticed with you, Nick, is that you just do it. Like you've just gotten into it and you just started doing things. And so I'd like to talk about some of the things that you're doing individually and as a team that are making a difference. And I've asked him in advance. And so he shared with me, like the first one is top 50. Tell me a little bit about how you work at top 50.
Yeah. So we start off with all of our agents, and when I started with it, you create your sphere of influence. You put down everybody that that would, if they saw your face on a postcard, they know who you were. And then we kind of narrow that down to our top 50, right? We take the people who know us, like us, refer us, want to use us, do deals with us, the people who we're staying in contact with the most. And the idea is to generate referrals and transactions out of the top 50. And so I'm very strict on the top 50. The top 50, we should have 100% contact rate every single month. So we're contacting these people in our top 50 every single month. The more personal the touch, the better. So if we can do pop buys, if we can do client events, if we can do in-person meals or visits, this is really key. And that was one of the big things for me over this last year was, prior with our team, we had been purchasing Zillow leads. And one of the things I'm actually proud of is our transactions were the same in 2022 as they were in 2021. But we didn't do Zillow leads as strongly as we did the year prior. So we actually increased, or did the same amount of deals without paying for leads, because we used our top 50s significantly more efficiently, and we started doing client events and really having people come to us, creating opportunities for 40, 50 people to come in and come to one of our events versus us having to get out and meet people, one-on-one. So creating some efficiency through it was really important. But our top 50 is by far it's a game changer. The way you work the top 50 is a game changer.
I'd like to say that, I'd say that most people on this call have heard about us talk about the top 50 at some point. By the way, we're going to give everybody the top 50 system and the tracker that's on the call. So we'll give you a link later that you can download it. We're not just telling you about it. We're going to give it to you. Nick, will you, how do you get your team members to actually do it? Because as leaders, everybody talks about, it's so easy. Was it easy to get everybody to buy into it? And do they actually do it?
No, I mean, it's the buy-in is difficult sometimes, right? And so the problem, I think the biggest thing to understand is when you're presenting a new concept or when you're presenting a new strategy for your business, if people aren't doing it, it's because they don't understand the value. They don't see the value in it, right? So if you can really sit down and teach them what the value is in whatever the strategy is that they're using. And I think the other piece is, as you're team building, if you're not doing it yourself, it's very difficult to get your team to do it, right? So I pull up my top 50, and one of the things I showed, and I'm not even, I try to do my top 50 to its highest level, but I can admit that I'm not great at asking for referrals. But I can tell you my top 50 last year gave me 33 referrals. Just 33 referrals, just my top 50. And my closing percentage on referrals is generally around 50 to 60%. So I did 18 transactions just off of top 50 referrals alone. And I probably did another 10 off of the top 50s actually using me. So I did, 25, 26 transactions off of my top 50, which is 2/3 of my business. Okay, so and top 50, the reality is top 50, to stay in contact with those people once a month is 1 to 2 phone calls a day and a couple of in-person visits per week. So realistically speaking, I honestly believe anybody in here, if you work your top 50 and work it well, I believe you could do 24 to 30 transactions a year, spending 5 to 8 hours a week on a top 50 sphere of influence. I 100% honestly believe that.
So Nick, the book's called 8651. I'm just messing with you for a minute, but it's how to close 86 deals a year, working with 50 people, 1 hour a day. And it's based on real business. So I feel like you're kicking butt with your top 50, but there's a whole new level. So as you've only been doing it a year. After you've done this for 3 or 4 years, you're going to find that there's people don't give you 1 referral. They give you 5 or 6. They become your raving fans. And there's this unbelievable momentum that grows. And so you'll look back and say 25 is a good start, and pretty soon it'll be 50, then 75. And I know you're well headed in that direction. As you define the top 50, and Nick did a great job of that, it's one personal touch. And a personal touch is you want to be face-to-face. And if you can't, you have a phone call. Whenever you have the touch, you always schedule the next touch. And we give referrals to the same group we want to get referrals from. And then we talk about doing events. I love the phrase, and everybody should write this down: events drive revenue. Events drive revenue. And Nick, you're big on doing events. Tell us a little bit about some of kind of the events you do, how you do them, how your agents participate, what the result is. Let's go through and talk about some unique and creative events.
Yeah. So one of the things that I did, first of all, was when I came back from the Teams conference from RE/MAX, which Verl and Workman Success Systems was involved in. One of the things I came back to was I had heard at the conference that we should be spending like 70% of our marketing budget on our sphere and our top 50. And then the other 30% could be for lead generation. I wasn't even close to that. I was spending like $6,000 a month on Zillow leads, and I was spending maybe $400 to $500 a month on my top 50 of my sphere. And so what I did was I flipped that, and I flipped it on its head, and I created essentially a $24,000 per year client event budget, right? And the idea was if I did 4 client events per year, quarterly client events per year at $6,000 per event, okay, it would be literally like a third of the spend that I have with Zillow. And based on what Verl had told us, the way the top 50 works, it should produce even more transactions, and it did. So what we did is we brainstormed a bunch of different ideas that we could do, and then we started narrowing them down. And so one of our most important, or I should say, one of our most popular events is our paint and sip night. So we do it at our office. We have a big room. We can fit about 40 to 50 people in that room, and we do 2 sessions. So we do like a 5 o'clock to a 7 o'clock, and then we do like a 7:30 to 9:30 session. And we do it in conjunction with Valentine's Day, okay, because it's more of a date night thing. So in our 4 events, the way we try to set it up is 2 events are like couples events and 2 events are family events, right? So 2 of the events allow you to kind of create a date night. Hey, let's get you out. Just find somebody to watch the kids, and come and paint and sip is one of those. So obviously it's a 21 and up event. We do beer and wine. We provide everything. We have a company that comes in, teaches everybody how to paint. So that's the picture you see there on the left there. So it's a paint and sip event. Another event that we do, couples event, is axe throwing. That one's 18 and up, and we pair that one with Halloween. So we do a costume contest. You can see us all dressed up there. And so that one is the other couples event. The other events that we do, we have a cornhole tournament and a block party that we hold. So we hold it at a local park. We bring in some food trucks. We set up volleyball nets. We have an actual cornhole tournament, and it's just fun. It's kind of a back to school, end of the summer kind of event. And those are really big events. So those are kind of 3 of my favorite events. And then we always couple these events with some type of charitable cause. Okay, so what you see there in the middle, we did a backpack drive. With the axe throwing this last year, we did a coat drive for the homeless. So hey, come to our axe throwing event, bring a coat, and we'll donate it for you. I don't know, this was national news, so many of you probably saw this. About a year and a half ago, Colorado had some very devastating fires a few miles from us, burned down over 1,000 residential homes. We did a gift card drive for that one. We had such a great community response. They didn't need supplies anymore, but they were looking for gift cards to Kroger and Walmart and things like that. So we did a gift card drive along with our paint and sip night. So we're always trying to do something to kind of give back to the community at the same time that we do these events. And then the last one, I don't know if you have a picture of it, Verl, but last year we bought 250 tickets to a Colorado Rockies game. We bought out an entire section of the Rockies game, and then we thanked our clients on the big kind of jumbotron and things like that. So these are all just really cool events that we do, and they hit home. They're really popular with our top 50s and our sphere of influence, and it gets the buzz going. People talk about us.
So Nick, I'm curious, as you do these events, and by the way, how many of you are like getting new ideas for events? Like everyone talks about the same thing. We all do Pi Day, Easter egging. There's good events that go on, but I love the creativity in Nick's events and coming up with new ideas. And I appreciate you sharing what you're doing there. Well, I'm looking at the paint night and I'm like, did they all have the same model? Because all those trees look very different.
Yeah, it's the same exact. So everybody gets to put their own spin on it, which is kind of cool.
I think it's fun to see how people see things and how it's demonstrated through their art. I think it's really cool. The other thing is if you have questions for Nick as I'm going through this, make sure you go into the into the chat box and write your questions, and then I'll do my best to answer them for both Nick and Mahala. Nick, Jamie says that she loves the idea of adding date night as kind of a theme. I think that's a brilliant idea as well. So when you do these events, out of curiosity, how often do referrals happen during the events that people say, oh, by the way?
We'll probably get a couple like per event. We obviously we take a short period of time to promote the business. And I think we could probably even be better at that. But the reality is that we try to get them after the fact, right? So the goal is we do the event, and the event doesn't do you a whole lot of good from a business standpoint, because you're there, you want people to enjoy their time. You don't want it to be a sales pitch. But what happens is after the fact, you call them the following week and you say, hey, and you send them a note. Hey, thank you so much for attending our event. As you know, your involvement in this event is because you're part of our top 50, which means that you're an advocate for our business, that you continue to support us through sending us referrals and using us as your preferred agent. If there's anybody that you can think of right now that's looking to buy or sell, please send them our way or let us know, and we'd be happy to reach out to them. Right. So it's after the fact, the follow up, thanking them for being a part of the event, and then asking for referrals or business after that.
So I love that. And you said a couple of things. I just want you to know that I actually am practicing cornhole, and I put a cornhole, I put the official size, and I started watching YouTube videos on it. I didn't realize it was such a competitive sport, and people take their cornhole very serious, don't they?
Yep.
And then the other thing is pickleball. I just learned how to play pickleball. So that's the other thing I'm getting into. And I was thinking about that as I was playing it. Like, I could not believe all of the people that are waiting to get on courts. Like, it's a massive rage going through the country, and there's got to be a client event, pickleball tournament somewhere coming up that
I am in the works of planning it right now. I'm planning a pickleball event.
Let me know. I'm in.
Okay, we'll fly you out.
Let's talk about daily success habits for just a minute and how you actually utilize it in your business.
Yep. All right, you want me to just get into it?
Yeah, just get into it.
Okay. So the daily success habits is something that is part of when we bring somebody on the team, we have a document that they sign that's called the 10 things to be on my team. It's the kind of prerequisites to be on the team and what we expect out of them. And there's certain standards that we have from a team standpoint. And so, things like coming to the office every day, doing, money making activities, attending our team meetings, things like that. But the big one on there is that they're using their daily success habits, right? And so the daily success habits, I will tell you, this is one of the harder things to get people to buy into, right? And again, it comes down to what value they see in it. And the important thing is, I think, to make people understand is that this is not a micromanagement tool. This is an accountability tool. And so the people think by saying, hey, I want to know how many phone calls you made yesterday, or I want to know how many listing appointments you went on, or how many offers you wrote, that like we're micromanaging them. But what we're really not doing that. What we're doing is we're creating a trackable we're creating a business that we can understand how we're producing. So if we get to the end of the year, for example, and we have a really great year, if we didn't track anything, how do we know how we're going to replicate that year, right? So if we can look back and we can look at the entire year and look at the team and go, okay, the team made 7,800 calls this year, okay, and out of those 7,800 calls, we set 450 appointments, and out of 450 appointments, we got 150, actual agreements, buyer agreements or listing agreements, and we sold 125 of those. Now we have a better understanding what our closing ratios are, and we can predict what our business is going to become. The second piece to that is not only the predictability of how we're creating our business, but the second piece to that is it creates coachable opportunities, right? So if you've got an agent, for example, that is setting appointments all the time, and then they never get any agreements signed, it's not there to come down on them and say that they're doing a bad job. It's to go, hey, nice job creating all these appointments. Let's find out what's going on that you're not able to convert them, or let's figure out, if we're making 100 phone calls and we're not setting any appointments, let's look at what your phone call looks like, right? So all we're doing is we're creating coachable opportunities for people, and then on top of that, once we understand those coachable opportunities and we teach those things, we relate those daily success habits back to their goals, right? So one of the things I'm very proud to say about my team is I don't set goals for my team members. They set their own goals. Okay, so if they want to do 24 transactions, I'm right there with you. If they want to do 50 transactions, I'm right there with them. If they want to do 12 transactions, I'm right there with them. And everything that they do on their daily success habits has to reflect that goal, right? So if they say, I want to do 50 deals a year, but their daily success habits reflect 12 deals a year, then I'm going to hold them accountable to that, right? And so so those are the two reasons, or the two ways that I use the daily success habits, is to create accountability, not to me and to my goals that I set to them. It's to what they want in life. I'm here to coach them and help them, right? So that's those are the two big ways that we use daily success habits.
So let me pull a couple things out of there for everybody. Like number one is like track it so that you see what's going on, then coach to the gaps. If you don't track what's actually happening, then we're guessing what we're coaching to. And I love that as a team leader, you're actually recognizing that. The perfect week and the daily success habits kind of work together, where you intentionally plan what you want to do, and then you track what you actually do, and then you start making course corrections along the way. And pretty soon you stop doing things that aren't money-making activities. How has this impacted the way you run your life, like not just your team?
Yeah, so I mean, you kind of bring it up. The perfect week scheduler for me, I will tell you, when I first got presented the perfect week schedule, I was like, I'm not doing that. Like I pushed back on it, right? Because my life, because I do a lot of things, the managing broker, the team lead, I have a podcast, I wear a lot of different hats. And so I was like, my schedules always gets blown up. It always gets blown up, right? Like have a plan to do something, and then somebody from the brokerage firm will call and all, everything, hits the fan, right? And so it's like, my days get blown up so much that I'm like, I'm not going to do this perfect week schedule because I'll never be able to follow it. But once I started like trying to buy in and like, you know what, I'm just going to do it, it's created some more clarity for me. And even with this, like wearing of many hats, like I get home at 5:00 every day, and I have dinner with my kids and my wife. And that's something, when I was in an individual in production, I almost never did. I never made it home in time for dinner. I was always on the phone. I was always presenting contracts. I have weekends now that I get to spend with my kids, like, because I've become significantly more efficient by having this calendar that puts me, like, that gives me a vision of what I need to do, like on a daily basis. Because I can tell you, probably an hour at least of my day previously, in little 5-minute increments, was just me trying to determine what I was going to do next, right? Like, okay, what's next now, right? And that adds up.
I stopped to share for just a minute because I want to ask, is there anybody that's like on the call, and I can see about 60 or 70 of you on video, that would like to have more free time back, or like to get their weekends back? Like, is Nick by himself in like the way he's thinking about the business? Because I think that's one of a lot of people, we always focus on gross closed income and how much more money we're making. But when I hear Nick's story, what resonates most with me as a father is that he's spending more time with his family, and that he's actually present in their lives and not working evenings and weekends. To me, that's like, I love the tools and I love the events and all those things, but I think that time is our biggest thing. So, and April, thanks for pulling that in there. I think a lot of people, she says, I want more time back. Not any single one of us has more time than anybody else. It's what we choose to do with our time that makes the difference. And so there's no such thing as time management, it's me management. And so the perfect week and the daily success habits, those are just tools for me management, not for time management. You can't speed up and slow down the passage of time. So I'll go back and share my screen again. I just thought that was an interesting concept. As I'm doing that, Nick, would you mind share with us just a little bit about how you use your core values and the importance of your core values and how you do manage your team?
Yeah, let me share one quick thing about the time management too. One of the things I heard a few years ago that changed the way that I felt about the way I was spending my time is, we always say, I hear it all the time from agents, like, I'm too busy, I don't have time for that. I'm too busy. I don't have enough time. Start changing your mentality and thinking, and change the way you say that to, that's not a priority for me, and see how it feels. Right. So when you tell your kid, like, hey, sorry, I don't have time to play right now, change that to, it's not a priority for me to play with you right now, and see how that feels. Right. And so, like, it's deep, and it will change the way you spend your time. And If you can truly say that's not a priority for me, like then delegate it or get rid of it. Like if it's not if it's not a priority, just get rid of it. If you already think you're too busy, if it's not a priority, get rid of it. So
that's a brutal, that's kind of brutal to ask that.
It is
Ask
brutal.
it that way. Yeah.
It is brutal, but think about it. Think about that. Change your state of mind and think about the way that you talk about your time, right? So this is my core value tree. So this is the Meta Homes core value tree. We have this printed on all of our t-shirts. It's on a big canvas in our office meeting room. This is what we live by. That we live by and we die by this. So this is the core values are what we hire by, and it's what we fire by. So if you're breaking core values on our team, you don't get to be on our team anymore. And for us, the way we created this core value tree was we had a base of agents on our team, and I said, I want you guys to each come up with a core value, and we're going to implement that into the team. Whatever, like one for you, create a whole list of them, but your most important one for you. And so those core values are built of the most important core values of the 6 people on our team, with a basis of service regardless of opportunity. So that's why that's at the base of the tree. And the idea is that we help people regardless if we think there's any opportunity to earn business or whatever it may be. Like,
so I love the way you talk about your core values. I want to get to Mahala, but I want to just share really quick the investment portion of your business and how you bring that into part of your culture.
Yeah, so because I started that way, when I started the team, it was all about, hey, if you want to learn how to sell investment properties, if you want to learn how to attract investors, come be part of my team, right? I've changed that a little bit now to more like, hey, be part of my team because we'll teach you how to grow a business regardless of if you want to do investment properties or not. But I'm a big proponent of it because investors are return business. They don't buy a property every 7 years. They buy multiple properties every year. And so one of my big things that I live by is work smart, not hard. So if I can work with 5 clients and sell 35 homes a year, that's way easier than working with 35 people or 70 people for that matter and not selling half of them. So one of the things I did was I created what we call the Meta Homes investment experience. I do investment seminars every other month. I do seminars and webinars. And I teach people how to invest in real estate, how to house hack, things like that. And this particular book that I put together, it's free. It's available for anybody to download off of our website. I think, Verl, are you going to give people a copy?
I'll give you a QR code at the end, and everybody can have a copy of this along with the DSH and the My Perfect Week and a couple other tools. So yeah, we'll give it to everybody. And Nick, thanks for doing that. Your story's been fun. We've been playing it on video. I don't want to go into a long description of this, but it was fun to watch Nick go from 495 to almost 800,000 in just 1 year as a coaching client. Nick, what are your goals for 2023? Are you going to hit $1 million bucks?
Me personally,
the team?
My team will. My team hit $1 million last year, and so and one of the things I'm proud of is nobody on my team has more than 5 years experience. I'm the most experienced agent. I started 5 years ago, January of 2018. Was 100% club my first year, and now we're diamond in Remax. So went from 100,000 to over $1 million. And obviously my GCI went from my very first year was 104,000. My GCI was 719,000 last year. So, and I got more time back. So that was the big piece. So, yeah. So this year, again, Diamond Club over $1 million. Add some more agents, maybe add another admin, and continue to grow and help more people.
I love it. Well, congratulations on your success, and thank you for sharing with everybody the things that are working for you. Awesome. I'm going to jump in really quick and introduce Mahala Landin. And I've known Mahala now for about 6 months, and it's been really fun to work with her. Maybe a little bit longer than that, Mahala. Time's gone so fast, hasn't it?
Yeah, like I've known you forever.
She's the CEO and she's owner of the Rachel Kendall team in Raleigh, North Carolina. Last year, they helped about 375 families move. Did about just shy of 170 million in volume with 16 producing agents. Their goal this year is to get 30 agents and to continue to grow. their secret sauce is, and you have to understand that Mahala came starting as an admin on the team, went through the process of learning all the positions and then acquired the team. So it was really fun to watch her and understand her transition from that. She's operationally one of the strongest teams I've ever seen. She loves operational excellence. It's their culture. And because of their operational excellence, it allows them to create scale and to do more with less. They currently have one TC and a VA and an ops manager. Now, I want you to think about that, and a sales manager, and they're doing, 180 or 375 transactions. We've got teams doing 100 transactions that have more staff than that. So Mahala, thank you for being here. Nick kind of ended on the core values. And so I grabbed a shot of yours. Tell us how you use your core values in your business and why that's important.
Absolutely. And I got the pleasure of meeting Nick a few weeks ago, and he definitely is a dynamic person to get to know. So cool to look at everything that you're doing with your team. Core values are everything. This is actually the reason I joined this team as a buyer specialist years ago, was because I looked for a community and a culture that was actually existent. This is the reason that people join our team, is because we have made it so easily to identify the behaviors that happen every day. And those behaviors are so important because that's what's driving our results. If we didn't have these core values, if we didn't have a strategic mission and a vision for where we wanted the company to go, our team members wouldn't have that North Star to be able to make the right decisions within their business and to keep families center to everything that we do, which is why our mission is to help families create homes one house at a time. I think that a lot of real estate, organizations are lacking in this structure of culture. And this right here, when I found out that this company had this, I knew that I was going to be taken care of and supported in my business.
I love it. A lot of people talk about their core values like, oh, I have them, but they don't really they're not really part of the DNA of the team.
Right.
How do you keep your core values at the center so your agents are actually buying into it instead of just being a poster on the wall?
Right. So professional development, core values, and everything that we do in our huddle calls in the morning, as well as our sales meetings and our best practices and script and role playing, we integrate the same language that we're using in our core values into our scripts as we're delivering them to our clients and to each other. So when we're on huddle, we are doing it with an intention of, representing that we're professional. I mean, I think that 1% of people in any industry that are showing up on a consistent basis to report their numbers and to be in touch with their business and to have those key performance indicators, and then to have accountability and transparency, that's really separating you as a company from, other companies that are kind of doing things randomly and without any intention. So we talk about it on our huddle, we talk about it in our sales meeting, we're incorporating it into our scripts every day. It's really part of our DNA. It's not just a poster on the wall.
And I threw mine on the side of both of these so you can see Workman has their set of core values. When somebody gets hired as part of their onboarding kit, everybody gets a copy of the core values and it sits on their desk, and we talk about it in our Monday meetings and all the things you're talking about too. Mahala, I love that you actually do it. Nick talked about the top 50 with his team, and I just love your Erica story. So, and kind of what's happened when you started really working your top 50 at the beginning of this year. Share just some of your successes and how it's impacted your team.
So I have been out of production since 2017. So we spend most of our time celebrating our wins for our team members. And when I get excited, I want to brag on the success of what's happening because of the things that they're doing within their business and the systems that they're following. So Erica is a absolutely amazing example of putting that top 50. She implemented this in the fourth quarter when we first started being hands-on with the Workman system. And she came to me and she said, she started getting all these appointments, and she's like, I hope this isn't just a fluke. And I looked at her and I said, it's not a fluke because you're doing the work and you're trusting the system. And so by the time Erica started in January, she already had, or actually, finishing that top 50 for one quarter, she had 10 appointments from past clients and 2 referrals, all from her top 50. And that was, as a team, we wrote 32, but actually Erica in her first quarter did 14 transactions.
Wow.
So, when you think about that, 80% of those 14 came from her top 50. That's not a fluke. That's intentional work, and that's trackable results. I think the stat up here about where people started off the year, it's what you do 90 days ago, 60 days ago, 30 days ago that you're measuring today. And so when I looked at what we did after that first fourth quarter, we did 32 contracts in January, and last year we only did 26. And I don't think we wouldn't have had that result if we hadn't have been heads down and focused on our pillars and our top 50 in the fourth quarter.
So overall in North Carolina, is the market up or down in sales on the MLS?
We're down about 15%. And average transaction for our team, we were at 440 at the end of last year. We're at 400 this year. So when we think about how we're training our agents, when we think about how we're even changing our business, we have to focus not only on volume, but transactions. So if we want to overcome that decrease in sales volume, we have to do more transactions. We have to help more families. And that's what this top 50 can help us generate, because we're not going to spend more on leads, right? We're going to focus in on the business that we've already created to get those results.
Well, I just put 2 and 2 together, and that you're in North Carolina, the sales are down market wide, but on your team, you're up. Yeah. And so you're a good example of your activities taking market share, when just because the market's down doesn't mean you have to have your own sales be down.
Right.
So how is messaging, and what has messaging played a role in? Talk to us a little bit about how you're using Shift and the Shift modules and what it is. A lot of people have never seen this.
The Shift is all about a mindset and language and how we're delivering information for our clients to have a different experience. They're hearing and all focusing on headlines, right? Everything is a headline in a consumer world. And it's our job and our responsibility as salespeople to be able to educate beyond what the headline is saying. So every Thursday during our best practices, we actually read these as a team. We go through them. We take turns being the agent and being the buyer or being the seller, and we read this together. And then we go through the exercise together, and there's tons of tools, there's tons of resources, and it's prompting us to be curious and to go beyond what we're actually hearing, beyond the objection. We also realized that in the last few years, our retention on our team is very high. So we have agents that have been on the team since it started in 2008. And then we have brand new agents just starting their career in a very volatile market. And there needed to be a baseline of evening out the playing field, because some of the things that we have experienced in the last 3 years, even a seasoned agent needed to be reminded of. They needed to go back to the core fundamentals of real estate, new construction, interest rate objections. We were letting the market happen to us. And what Shift has done is it's empowered us to educate about the market, to overcome certain things that are happening, and also to be able to educate about things that haven't been happening in the last few years. So everybody got a lot out of it. It didn't matter where you were in your career. You were really able to take the information and apply it right away.
You use some of the dialogue, like when you're telling them who to call and what to say on their top 50 calls?
Absolutely. I mean, there's not a single person that went through the new construction advantage system that didn't go out and take that top 50. When you think of the 3-2-1, they're identifying 3 people to get 2 appointments from their top 50, that they could use that specific script, the rent versus zone. I love the new construction and rent versus zone together. I think those are amazing complementary programs to incorporate into your scripting. We're a huge database company. We've been working with the same CRM since 2013. So whether we miss that opportunity or not, this could be a great chance to call a lead that maybe got out of the market a year ago and get them back into the market. And that was really where we saw some magic happen.
So thank you for that. And I appreciate being intent on that. So what I'd like everybody else to hear that's on the call is, I'm thinking about the amount of volume that you do and the number of transactions that you do. And there's a lot of people thinking, that doesn't work for me. How do you take as much business as you do and still learn new things? Like, why are you even in coaching?
I mean, I was sitting here listening to Nick, and I'm over here writing notes, because it's so important. And I think it's what makes team strength so, impactful is we should always be approaching our business with a fresh set of eyes. And what coaching does, or what collaboration with other, agents, wherever they are in their business, you can learn so much. And our market changes so fast. And if we're not, sharing our best practices, sharing what it is that gets deals done, sharing how to overcome objections, then we're going to be stagnant in our business. And we're a growth mindset company. We're always looking to better ourselves. That's actually part of our team culture, is that you have a want and desire to not stay stuck, to always grow and to always change and evolve within the company. So I appreciate what coaching provides, because it gets you out of your bubble. It gets you out of, just doing the same thing that you've been doing. I'm way more interested in being creative and to be able to share with really talented people.
I'm just loud. So Mahala is one of the 3 people that I coach and work with personally, and it's been fun to work with her. And we had a coaching call yesterday, and the fun part about it was like pushing you beyond what you think is possible and making you see something that you may not have seen. So was that fun for you, or was that like, holy crap, I got to now do more?
I mean, I like to be told I need to do more. So I guess both.
Okay, you're big on like what you track and how you track things. And as a leader, I'd like you to share how you look at your CSU dashboards, what you do with it. So pick which one and I'll blow it up and so everybody can see it. So which one do you want?
I would take the one with your cursor where it's at right now, to the right.
Oh, this one?
Top right. Mm-hmm. Yep, top right.
Okay, I'm going to blow it up, and then I'm going to bring it forward. So give me just a second so you can see.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll share, because you mentioned this in the introduction. I started on the team as a buyer specialist. I was really focused on, creating a business of my own. I love the idea of working with buyers. I love the idea of working with a team. And I did have a very strong operational background, but that wasn't where I felt like I was going to be successful for the rest of my life. So I wanted to take charge, and that's why I got into sales. But this is really something that, as I moved beyond that role and took on operations and became a managing director for the company, this is something that is a game changer in anybody's business. When I first took over the operations of the company, we had 6 admins and we were doing 250 transactions. And every year I scaled that, not because I was letting people go, but I was naturally allowing evolution within the company to be able to meet the objectives of scalability, so that when we did start saying, okay, we need to hire so many people, I knew that our expenses weren't going to change significantly in order to do that. And also I wanted to help create human capital and help people not have dead-end jobs and really help them grow in a position that they were passionate about. So that's what CSU means to me. It's so much more than just a dashboard, but it's a lot of fun to look at your numbers too.
So tell me how you look at this. What are you looking? What are we seeing here?
Yeah, so this is our team dashboard year to date. The top portion of it is our closed units. We measure everything on closings, right? We can write business, but we've got to close business in order for us to achieve our goals. And then the far right is going to be both the closed and the pending. That's impactful. If you scroll down a little bit, well, you can't scroll down, but there's another part of this field that actually shows how much written business that we're doing, because there's all those different metrics that are important as a business owner and also as an agent, because we could have had rollover, or we could have had something that helped us get further to that goal. But if we're not pacing to the written goal of what we said we wanted to achieve, then we're definitely going to miss our closing goal. So when I look at that, all the blue is where we're not on pace, and then the line is going to be to on pace. Now, one of the challenges that Verl gave to me yesterday is that I've got to up my goal regardless of my team performance, and I need to make decisions about what's really going to help us get us to where we want to be. So, it's scary to not be on pace, but we also need to be growing and pushing and doing more within our businesses. The second piece that you see, the radio dials down there, conversations. We're always tracking our conversations. That was a huge culture shift for our team. We went from tracking minutes to conversations, because it doesn't really matter how much time you put into it. If you're not speaking to anybody, what does it matter? because that's where the relationship starts. Set to met is huge. That can give us feedback about, okay, I'm setting the appointment, but the client doesn't see value in why I'm actually meeting them. So I'm seeing a lot of failure here. I need to actually go in and shift my scripts, go back to the language that we're using to help people understand what a buyer consult is. We always say we're not here to sell houses, we're here to sell value and relationships. Tracking our signed agency agreements, more so on the listing side than on the buy side. But we definitely do track both. Our writtens are under contracts and are closed. So that's all of our leading and lagging indicators that can help us day to day, week to week, month to month, give immediate feedback to the team. Every Tuesday during our sales meeting, everybody goes around the room and they read their CSU dashboard. It's twofold. It's one, it's audit, right? It's actually engaging them in their data. And then two, it helps us as an administrative team to make sure that we have what we need, because we do all of our transaction management all the way to payroll through our CSU. So it's a very powerful tool, and it can help really streamline how you're working. And especially if you are interested in working with a virtual assistant, whether you're a TC or whether you're a team leader or an agent that's looking to scale and maybe a VA is the right decision for you, this is a game changer because it's seamless and there's so much accountability built into it.
Okay, so I love that. So if there's one thing or one matrix that your agents are focused on, what is the one thing? Is it the conversations or is it the appointment?
Conversations. It's always conversations. We set our conversation goals, and it's the best way to immediately make change. Because if you're in a week and you didn't get your appointments, well, you can immediately change the number of conversations that you have for a goal. That's first and foremost the best way, especially onboarding new agents. You know, it's very intimidating for a new agent to come on a team when you have an Erica doing 14 transactions in a quarter. So if you can work with a new agent to focus on what they can control, which is conversations, top 50, we do have a great lead pool. You know, we can give them what they need in order to have a win, and celebrating your wins are extremely important when you're starting a real estate career.
Okay, so now this is your dashboard. It kind of shows everything, right? And it shows you your year-over-year growth, whether you're pacing or not pacing where you need to be. And at a glance, you can see that there's areas where you got to pick it up. Next month's got to be good. But when you look at what you have pending, you're headed the right direction.
We're headed in the right direction. This is if you went further down on my scroll, there's lots of different tables that you can have here. One of them is net GCI. So if you're talking about cash flow, if you're looking at that in terms of, you know, am I going to be able to make my expenses? It just didn't show up on that one. But yeah, this is all about pacing year over year, which is great as a team leader. It's also great as an agent. If you're planning, if you know that last year your best month was in May and you planned that Caribbean cruise with your family in May, then you have the opportunity to catch up before that cruise happens so that you can make up for that ebb and flow in your business. This is strategic, and this is about consistency, both at a team level and at an agent level. That year-to-date under contract block at the very top, that's the one that, you know, I really look at in terms of what we're doing right now. You know, I mean, I can't live in the past. I have to focus on what we're doing right now. And that year-to-date under contract, if you remember from the past screen, my closed and forecasted is actually 114, but what I've done today is 99. So for me, even though, yeah, I'm moving in the right direction, I do need to pick up the pace on my writtens, or I'm definitely not going to hit my goal at the end of the year.
So just from the clarity perspective, when we look at this, we know that every listing you generate should create 1.5 buy sides. Her listing to buy side ratio is way off. She's really heavy on the buy side transactions. And so what's one of our focuses to increase the production?
Is hiring a listing agent.
Yep. It's getting people focused on the listing side. We're doing great on the conversion side, on the buy side, but we're not doing enough on the list side. So we're going to grow it by expanding and focusing here. This is a great thing to look at. Thanks for sharing all of that, Mahala. Let's pick a couple of the others. I like both of these. This is your agent conversations leaderboard.
Yep. So we use our leaderboards. We actually have them scrolling on a big screen in our main training room. So these are two highlights. Obviously, the big one is conversations and our leaderboard for that. Charles is actually an ISA that we have that only works the lead pool. So he a lot of times is in the lead on that. But again, we're all about recognition on our team and celebrating our wins, and everybody deserves to have a win. And if you're a new agent or you're a senior agent, Delia has been on our team for about 18 months. Erica, Allison is in the top 4, and she's only been on our team for 4 months. You know, like everybody has an opportunity to be up on the leaderboard when you focus in on the day-to-day conversations that you're having.
I love
So we do.
that. And there really is nowhere to hide. Like they show up to huddle and they see, everybody sees, are you doing the work or not? It's like there's no, hey, there's no
And then there's no personalization about it either, Verl. You know, we know what it takes to be on the leaderboard. We're, again, we have very successful, talented agents. And when you don't put that transparency out there during a huddle or during a team meeting, and then they're hitting the numbers that they're hitting, agents are going to be like, why, how are they doing that? You have to show them that there's a work and there's a cadence. And that's why we even report our 61 in our huddle calls, because anybody can win that. You know, if you put the work in, you can win. 5-star reviews are huge. Our top 50 is huge. 60% of our business comes from our top 50. So we work it. I love Nick's ideas on the client events. We do a ton of client events as well that we're really proud of. But more than that, when we're working our top 50, if there's not a referral up for play, then we're asking for a review, because that's going to help us be able to market ourselves, our team, and our culture.
love that. I'm gonna skip to following coaching advice and getting predictable greatness out of here. Tell me what makes you different, like when it comes to doing the work. I've coached a lot of people in my career, and sometimes it feels like it's a chore being a coach, because you have to convince people to do things. And you're one of these few people that have just gotten in, and if we give you the recommendation to do it before the next call, it's done. How are you wired differently, and why have you decided you're just going to do it?
I never really thought of myself as, being in the front of a real estate team the way I'm in front of a real estate team. And so the reason I get passionate about implementation is because I know that it makes a difference in people's lives. There are so many people on the team that came, some that didn't have money in their bank account to put food on the table, some, struggling through a life event, some just wanting to be a part of something bigger than them, or they were empty nesters that were saying, I'm ready to start my career now. Everybody has that on our team. And that becomes incredibly impactful to me for being passionate about implementing and rolling things out for them to do better in their business, because I know that it plays a part in their personal lives. That's what drives me to do all of this for myself and for my team members, is not because I want them to do it. It's because when they walked on the team, they wanted to be different. They wanted to make change in their life. And so, yeah, we're very involved. We are very, we're very close. There's a lot of dialogue. It's more than just coaching. It's really about becoming a community, and a family. Some people think that's hokey, but I think that's what makes it worthwhile.
I'm gonna just some of the notes that I've taken listening to both you and to Nick are, there's some leadership characteristics, and I don't know if everybody else picked this up, but think about what you heard from both of them. There's some consistencies of how they're running their business. One is they're focused on the team member and not themselves, and helping the team members become successful. To me, that's a big indicator of someone who is destined for greatness as a team leader. It's not about how much you're making. Mahala is actually uncomfortable with me telling everybody how great she is. She would rather have me focus on the individuals on the team and how great they are. And that's a really cool attribute of a good leader. The other thing is they do basic fundamentals at a high level of execution. Many of you have heard about the daily success habits, My Perfect Week and Top 50. But what you see with both Mahala and with Nick is that they're doing it, and they're doing it at a really high level. So it's not the new concept. It's a higher level of execution on basic fundamentals that we all know, but most of us don't do. Mahala, if there's one or two things that you would advise anybody listening in the call that wanted to make sure that 2023 was going to be a successful year for them, what would you tell them to do? What, if nothing else, do this.
So at an agent level, I just did a daily success habits and My Perfect Week training with some new agents, and follow the system as it's written. just follow it. It is a blind trust, but follow the system and just accept that it might be uncomfortable, but it's willing to help you get to a different place. Once you've mastered it, well, then you can make some changes, but there's a reason it was designed the way it was designed. So follow it to a T. And as a team leader, when, looking at what's the next phase of your business or what should you be doing, never make the mistake of stopping to add new and dynamic people to your team on a regular basis. I mean, those are two things that I have to remind myself every day. It's why coaching is so important, because sometimes it's right in front of your face and you just need somebody to remind you that that's what you should be working on.
So everybody grab this QR code, take a picture of it real quick, and you can just download the Meta Homes investment sheet. The investment experience, core values worksheet, our DSH, the top 50 strategy, top 50 system. And also we're going to give you, if you feel like you need a coach and you're ready to get some help, just raise your hand and tell our team, say, like we want a coaching consultation. Let us meet with you and we can find out whether or not we're a good fit. The last thing I want to share with you is Leverage 23 is our team event, and it is the greatest team event in the country. It's October 26th to the 28th in Bonita Springs, Florida. We have unbelievable speakers and presenters this year, including Sherry Levitin, who's the author of Heart and Cell, one of the best sales books ever written, New York Times bestseller, and also Del Toro. And we also have a former commander of SEAL Team 6, who just retired, is now going to be there and talking about building and developing high-performing teams. It's going to be an unbelievable event. So if you haven't signed up for Leverage, please do that and bring your entire team. There's a track for buyer agents, listing agents, and administrative assistants, and we work with everybody. MJ, if you've asked for a coaching consultation and no one's followed up, it probably fell through the cracks. So do it again, and I'll make sure somebody follows up with you. Thank you for that. We've got a few people that have direct message. Make sure you do it with the QR code on the previous thing. Can we just take a second and thank our panelists, everybody? Let's thank Nick and Mahala for sharing with us what's working for them. Thank you all for being here. Have an amazing spring. Let's get outside. Let's play some cornhole and some pickleball and enjoy the spring weather. And most importantly, let's help our teams be amazingly successful. Thank you up with everybody. I appreciate you being here.